position, and you kind of look at it and think, right, okay, well, if you're talking about two names that are synonymous with UKCS, then Hudsgy and Neilzino are probably two of those names that you could think about, and Windansky also in the same boat, who've been around for such a long time, you know, in various guises, and you know, some of these guys have played in some of the strongest teams that we've ever put out, and you know, over the years, and you know, that counts for quite a lot. But by the same token, fresh ideas, fresh weapons. I mean, we might see the Mag 7 get some play at various points throughout this tournament. And yeah, you say, oh no, but you know, that's just a sign of how things change. And you know, someone grabs a weapon that you normally wouldn't expect would work, and they get 4 frags with it.
I do remember that moment. Yeah, maybe on Cobblestone.
Yeah, it's prime for it.
The main reason that surprised me, or the main reason I found it interesting that you said that, was that they actually, FM took 2 younger players out. Which, well, we'll see if that's going to be a handicap or not.
Yeah, and I think consistency might be one thing that they are going to now get back with this change that they've put in. I mean, yeah, one thing you find is if you've got a player that's got stack loads of ability but not necessarily as much experience, they might not know how to deal with situations when it's not going their way. So, you know, I think no such luck for Socken and for Windansky, who are stepping in here, and you know, they haven't got that to be worrying about as such. But we got the first round underway. Going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. Fairly standard setup coming in from the CAZ boys. You know, not going to get too aggressive, but Cryptix, he gets taken down to 9 points of health by Windansky straight away over towards the tunnels. He's going to be stepping away. Doesn't want to go and push that and get too aggressive early doors, but Neilzino gets one. Robin trains back, and Windansky ends up picking up a frag on Jacob as well. So that's going to be the B site where they have got their point of entry ready to break in. 4v3 is in favour of FM, and that plant is going to go in. So let's see if they can hold this thing off now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking like it's going to be too hard to do that. CAZ obviously lacking that crucial utility. They do have the kit, but that's about all they're going to get, and so they're just going to be charging in, seeing what they can do, and Jack's going to be finding one, but it's not going to be enough, as now it's just Poster left, and he can't make it work. Cinder finds himself the last man, and that is going to be the first round going to FM, and I'd say in fairly dominant fashion. As soon as we see them get that B split underway, they've got that site, and they are not letting go of it.
No, exactly, and it's a tough one, because retaking a site on Dust 2, it can either be made to look very, very easy, or it can be the complete opposite on both really, for various reasons. And yeah, B, you do find yourself getting dug in there quite easily, especially if you've got the numbers advantage. You can just double cover the angles. You've pretty much got door, window, tunnels, and then you're done. So you know, you've got that extra man to float and just look where the attention's coming from, plus whatever utility you've got left in your pockets, you can throw that out just to try and slow down the push anymore. With 40 seconds on that bomb timer, then there's a lot to work with. And you know, we're kind of seeing a similar situation to the first round. No huge commitment from FM just yet. Jacob taken down to 13 points of health. He's been tagged. Boyster manages to retreat out from the mid and use the smoke for cover, but you know, he's by no means comfortable if they want to go and work a mid to be. Robin, though, what a position he's got himself in coming from behind. They've got to be careful for this. They're not looking for that push out along, and Robin does get one before they look in his direction, but look at the amount of havoc he's caused. What was going to be a perfect mid to be has now been cut down, and they are not sure where they want to be going. Som heading towards the tunnels, thinks about going in, but Windansky gets one before he's traded off by Chak. So it's 4 versus 3 in favour of CAZ. Going to try and trade this straight back if they can. Try to do some damage. Is Som down in the bottom of tunnels. Jacob takes him out though, and Chak, one bullet, takes down Socken as he makes his way onto the site. Hudsgy is going to get the plant in most likely, but that's probably all she wrote here.
Yeah, I mean, 21 HP, you can't see him doing a huge amount more, and he does definitely try, but Jacob's going to be a little bit quicker than him. Finds the frag, finds the second round, and CAZ managed to progress, keeping things even. Not something I thought we'd see, to be honest.
No, not at all. And you'd normally expect that if you get the pistol, you're going to piggyback through, get the next 2. You've got the SMGs, and yeah, early worrying signs. And you know, a bit of an example of that, CAZ not afraid to push through and try and get him from behind. And even though Robin only got 1 frag initially, he caused such uproar, completely busted the strat, and yeah, game over. I would think the strat was perfect, but it was just executed way too slow. I
mean, way too slow for if you're going up against a pistol armor indeed. And FM are now going to be the people using those pistols. HUD's G going to be the only man with armor on this team, though, as they are a huge disadvantage right now. It's quite easy to see CAZ running away with this one. At least if FM don't pull off something spectacular, and they're looking to do what they've done the previous rounds. They set up that mid control, they play it a little bit slow. This time, though, they're going to be heading towards A through short, something that we haven't seen a huge amount of from them, and something which hopefully we can see work out for them here. Because stealing one back at this point would be so huge, but Boaster going to be starting them off. Finds himself 3 frags in a matter of seconds. Robin coming in with a nade as well. Leaves Cinder as the last man left, but he's not going to be left for long. Complete domination from CAZ there. Not a single man going down. And that A site just on lockdown.
Yeah, pretty flawless defense there. And, you know, it takes a little bit of ability to be able to get those headshots up from towards the short, especially when you've only got 60 bullets in your weapon. That nade from Cryptics. Yeah, we caught that, bro. We saw that. So I don't really know what to advise about that, but luckily it hasn't done too much damage to the bankroll or to anyone's HP. Jacob taken down to 94, so nothing really to worry about from that. And FM, though, they got themselves a decent little buy. Got AWP up in the hands of HUD's G. AKs all around. Not much utility, though, aside from HUD's G, who's probably going to be hanging back and, you know, not really going to be wanting to be first through committing and throwing a flash up in the air with his AWP. But and we'll see if that's going to become a problem during the later stages of this round. Boaster not committing into the mid, and I think that's quite a wise strategy, especially with FM. They've kind of given themselves the reputation of being quite a slow-paced team. And now we're going to the usual setup of the hold mid, wait, see if you get a pick, and then decide around about 35-40 seconds where you want to go.
Yeah, and it looks like, well, they're going to be making their decision at the moment. They've got that smoke out CT, so it could facilitate something that way, but it doesn't look like they're going to be heading fully out just yet. We do finally see them going for a little bit of a peek. HUD's G going to be taking the aggressive angle with the AWP, but he can't quite find the shot, and that's going to have given it away. Still manages to find Jack. Boaster now the man standing between them and that B site, but he's got a lot of work to do, and they're not looking his way anymore. Instead, he has to shift his focus towards short. Still going to be waiting there. He was deadly last time. Can he do the same? This time it's only going to be a dink before he goes down. And just like that, it's Jacob and Cryptics left 2 versus 5 on the complete wrong end of the map.
Yeah, and this seems to have worked. It was looking very pedestrian from FM, to be honest. And yeah, I'm kind of thinking, please, guys, let's get a bit of momentum into this thing. But it worked, actually, because they just took their time, stepped out, got that pick, which you need. And then from that point, Windansky did the same thing. And, you know, Windansky's picked up the odd frag here and there, which is quite useful, I think, in the way that they want to go forward. And probably going to pick up their second round, bring it back to 2-2 during the very early stages of this UK Masters Grand Final. And exciting times. If Jacob does pick up Windansky, so it's not going to be a flawless victory, but they can still try and hunt him down and drop that P90 if they can. Cryptics, he's looking for the peak, and he does take down Som. So, you know, a little bit of economy damage, but I think in general FM are going to be okay on these rebuys, and actually it's quite tight. Those guys haven't got a lot of cash to play with.
I mean, it's going to be tight, but T-side, that's going to be a lot easier to deal with. CAZ also having a little bit of money trouble there. You can see Boaster having to go for the P90. We do have M4s on the rest, but definitely not the strongest buy, and both teams now going to be hurting in terms of economy, meaning this round is so important.
That sure is. They're thinking about a long, but it is not going to happen just yet. So no long action. Let's go bide their time. If you go for the standard setup, it's probably going to be another 40 seconds before we see any real commitment from FM. That's unless CAZ want to try and force the issue and step into their iron sights or HUD's G's AWP. But I don't think we're going to see too much of that just yet. Don't want to overcommit. Don't want to try and do anything too silly. And, you know, Som for FM, we've seen him at times go a little bit walkies and try and push somewhere on CT side, get himself picked off. And, you know, there's one particular match, I can't remember who it was up against, I think it might have been in the August game, where they were pretty much running 4v5 a lot of the time. And it seems a little odd, but we'll see if they want to plan with that, as FM now going to be committing to this long push, and they are out. But there is still a bit of attention from Chak, who goes down straight away. And, you know, Boaster now, he can work from the short, try and cut down the pincer movement, and that's exactly what he does. So they're going to be coming in from one angle now if they want to rotate behind, but 35 seconds left to go on the clock. Probably not a lot of time to do that.
Oh, I mean, it's what he's been doing so far, but it looks like he's going to be in an awful position to do it. Cryptic's instead going to be the man stepping up here. Finds himself 4 in the round to make sure it goes CAZ's way and to essentially shift that momentum into their advantage, because obviously we were talking about the economies at the end of the last round, and realistically, FM's is going to be hurting now. They're forced onto these pistols. You can't even get armor on more than one player. They do have a little bit of utility, but it's all they're really going to have to work with. And CAZ has sat there with a full buy. CAZ has sat there ready to continue their reign, ready to put some more rounds on the board and to try and put some sort of distance in between themselves and FM before this half closes out. And guess what, Mark? We're seeing the same thing again. This time, though, the mid-aggression going to be coming a little bit faster, and maybe that's just what they needed. But unfortunately for them, Robin's going to be shutting down Neilzinho right off the bat. Nothing really coming of it so far, as we're going to be seeing everybody drop one after the other until it's just Cinder left, and he gets taken down from behind as well. So a nice idea, a nice little change in pace, potentially something that could have worked. Just in this case, unfortunately for them, they got caught out.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Do that with weapons and utility at some point, boys, and you're probably going to end up picking up a round from it. But we'll just have to see if they can employ that. And maybe they're thinking about it down the long, but it seems unlikely as Jacob misses by a mile on that AWP shot as Robin goes down to CAZ, and they are now going pretty fast outside the long, but they're not covering these angles all that well, and now they are stuck. You know, you've got that age-old issue of do you push through a smoke? Well, they decided against it, got themselves caught, and it's back to a 4v3. So CAZ going to be trying to put the momentum back in their direction very quickly and reset any economy that might be coming in for FM eSports. Try and slow them down a little bit, as it's now 4v3. Boaster down to 24 points of health, so you know, one nade or one shot, and he's pretty much gone. But you know, he's got a decent opportunity to make a play on Windansky. He doesn't make any shots to begin with, but he does now. Ends up picking up that frag. Plant comes in, so $800 in the account, but should be a fairly easy retake, you'd think.
I mean, you'd assume that it was going to be just that way. CAZ obviously started with the utility, they start with the kits, they've got everything they possibly need. It's just going to come down to whether they can make it work, and it's going to be up to FM to make sure it doesn't. And initially, they're not doing such a bad job. 3 frags in a matter of seconds, leaving it in a 1 versus 1. CAZ versus Cryptics here. And it looks like they might have a chance of taking the round after all, especially as Cryptics doesn't really seem to want to go for it right now. Just sat inspecting his knife for a while before chilling down. Or chilling out. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the crash from Cryptics coming in. Ah, right, okay. Well, that's not the best way to go and lose what was potentially a very winnable round, but these things do end up happening, which is, yeah, a little bit gutting, but never mind. And looking on balance, CAZ already 4-3. They've got a slender advantage here, and you know, Dust 2, it's one of those maps that can be played in a variety of different ways, but it is, for the most part, a T-sided map. You want to be at least winning things out, if nothing else. Get yourself an 8-7. You know, and it can play either way. You know, sometimes you'll find the T-side just can't get any kind of entry picks going, have to try and rush en masse, get caught in the, well, either SMGs, weapons up close, different angles, etc. It can be a really tough day for you on T-side as well, don't get me wrong. But, you know, FM going to be wanting to put in a strong performance here, get 8, 9, 10 rounds on the board if they can. And you know, for CAZ just to hang with them and trade backwards and forwards, then they've got to be pretty happy with that.
And they're not going to be sad about it. Dust 2, as you said, is a map of slender advantages. If you can get yourself just a tiny bit out in the lead, and then you can just try and sort of extend that bit by bit, sort of moment by moment, inch by inch even, it's occasionally enough to get you through it. And I mean, it's still a bit early in my mind for us to actually call anything right now, because 4-3 is not decisive by any means. We could still see this go either way by a long stretch. We could see FM come through, take CAZ's economy apart, and build something out of the remains. At the same time, we could see FM just continually get shut down as soon as they get an economy going, and then CAZ just push on from that point and continue to put distance between themselves. Or we could see both teams trading rounds back and forth and keeping sort of close. It's impossible to decide right now, and both teams are sort of in that fragile state where anything could happen. I mean, I'm not sure if you can see CAZ's economy, but after this buy, you've got players in the hundreds of dollars. 4 of the players are in the hundreds of dollars, and that's always a bit of a scary scenario to be in, especially when you don't have a huge amount to work with in the round as it is. I mean, Chat has a defuse, but apart from that, it's going to be utility, some weapons, not even full M4s, and no AWP, which on Dust 2 definitely means something.
Yeah, I guess to kind of strip it right back to basics for anyone that's watching that isn't a regular CS player, then the game is based on money, and if we're talking in very simplistic terms, it costs less to get your usual buys together on the terrace side as it does on CT side. So if you can't get any momentum going on CT, you feel the pressure of the finances a little more, and you can't necessarily get the weapons you want, the flashbangs and the nades to try and slow up any potential pushes, that kind of thing. So just as a very simplistic explanation of it for anyone watching that isn't a regular Counter-Strike player. So hopefully that helps you out with your understanding of it. But yeah, I think that does hammer it home that it can be a dangerous one on CT side unless you can sustain 3-4 round wins at a time. If it goes backwards and forwards, then it tends to favour the terrorists. And it might come down to, as you say, we're getting to the later stages with 3-4 rounds left to play in the half. FM make the finances pay and then put a few rounds on the board just to finish strong. So we shall see how it pans out. It looks like we are back up and ready to go. Back in 4-3, first map of the grand final of the UK Masters competition, and let's see what goes on here. Will we see a team start to run away with it now? Maybe this pause will have been enough to allow the guys to have a bit of a chat and decide what they want to do going forward. Don't think either team can be particularly upset with their performance, but as always, you'd like to have more rounds on the board, and for CAZ, they want to try and dig their heels in and make sure the economy doesn't get on top of them too much. Minute 30 left to go. No one has gone for anything too aggressive yet on the CT side, so probably going to see around about 20-30 seconds before anything too much happens here.
I mean, we can see people set up outside of long, actually, with some smokes in their hand, so maybe we're going to be seeing that come into it on this one. FM definitely shifting their focus in these past couple of rounds more towards that A side than the B side, and doing a great job of it as well. The last round, I think, was a little bit unfortunate for CAZ, but that means that this is the perfect round for FM to start themselves off in the right direction, and they're doing a fine job already. They managed to shift CAZ's attention towards long at the beginning, but it's not going to be working for too long after all, as Robin manages to spot them out and finds himself a 1-for-1 trade before going down. Windansky still stood outside of doors, still waiting to see if anybody on the side of CAZ is going to be getting aggressive, and there are two men there, so he has the right idea, despite the fact the bomb's already down on site, and it looks like they might actually give him something to work with, at the very least some sound cues he can use to give himself some ideas, or to give themselves some ideas rather about where they're going to be seeing the CTs coming from towards that site. And now it's up to CAZ to make the difference. It's going to be a 4 versus 4. Most of their utility already gone. It's just going to be up to FM to hit these shots right now. Another 1-for-1 trade, but another time it looked like it might not have been good enough still. Apparently, FM just pull everything out of nowhere. 3 frags in a matter of seconds again to make sure that CAZ can't do a thing.
Yeah, I got aboard with Windansky, and he did exactly right. Jumped in from behind, did some damage. I think he picked up 2 assists to add to his tally there, plus a frag or 2 as well. So really good stuff, and they're able to lock it down. Bit of a pincer movement. A couple of angles you've got to worry about. And Shaq tries to get up close with Windansky, but he's not having that. Picks up his 7th frag of this grand finals first map. And that's going to be some very early start. And probably good information as well. FM probably know that CAZ are on the eco. They did get unstuck by this, though, after the second round. Ended up losing that one. Som on the spray down does manage to get Boaster. Second player there, and it has to be a pistol to the face, but it's enough to take down Robin as well. Socking with a frag on Jacob, leaving last man standing. Cryptics, he's the first to go down, and that's a couple more rounds straight on the board for FM.
And that's extremely unfortunate. We were talking about what happens if CAZ's economy starts going down the toilet. What happens if they get caught in this situation where they're just being bullied? And apparently the caster's curse is real here. Apparently we're going to be seeing that happen, and we're going to be seeing FM try and put some distance between themselves. Obviously at the moment it's only 1 round, but again, we see CAZ in that sort of situation of economic frailty where, at most actually at the moment, they have $100 to spend. Obviously that's going to be bolstered by whatever's gained this round. But it's still worrying. If they manage to lose this one, they're going to be right back onto, well, potentially pistols, maybe rifles, if they can properly squeeze everything out of their banks. But it's not going to be good by any means.
No, it sure isn't. And a very short little pause we've got here. Shouldn't take more than a minute to get this one straightened out, and then we're going to be back into things. And after that little break, it seemed to work in FM's favour and gave them a few things to work with. I mean, granted, this was an eco bash the last time out, and The other round before that took a good bit of work, a good bit of crossfire from the boys. See, yeah, okay. So we should be back and up and running within a matter of seconds, which is good. Couple of little pauses though. I mean, you might see the odd tactical pause get thrown in once in a while just to talk things over. Probably too early in the encounter to have to start worrying about that as such, but sometimes it's a useful little thing just to take a breather and to talk things over. And with 3 rounds going in FM's way in quick succession, this probably isn't the time for CAZ to need to start worrying about it that much. They've just got to get their economy back on an even footing and just make sure that they're solid and win this thing out. I guess the main thing is make sure that you don't get picked off too early.
Yeah, you got to be hoping. Hopefully we're going to be back into this extremely soon. I thought everything was square. Are we all square, Mark?
I think so. A little bit of a debate going on here, but I'm sure we'll be underway very soon.
Well, quick reminder, we are back into that round where CAZ are in a precarious position. A couple of $100. I think $100 at the most on their side. FM building a little bit more of a lead in terms of money, building a little bit more of a lead in terms of rounds of momentum and sort of everything you want going into this game. And you can see they're sat in the thousands right now. So should we see FM drop around, they're going to be in a position where they can try and bounce back. They can try and come straight from that position, push against CAZ, reset their economy, and put some more rounds on the board. If CAZ drop one, well, we're going to be seeing same old, and FM finding themselves some more rounds.
Yeah, I think so. We've still got a little bit more time going on for this delay. I'm trying to get that wrapped up as soon as we can, but this is the UK Masters Grand Final, map number 1. Bit of Dust 2 action, and it's one of the... I mean, even if you do play at a faster pace, it's still one of the slower paced maps that you tend to deal with. I guess the other one you can kind of draw to is Inferno, which tends to end up getting dropped out of map pools or vetoed pretty early on. Mainly because it's not too bad to play it as such, but from a viewer perspective, it can be a bit of a drag just waiting around in the mid area and then committing around about 35-40 seconds. With some of the other maps that we'll be seeing, you'll get contact a little earlier, you get the chance of potential mid picks. So, yeah, a few more extra dynamics that you can look at during the early stages, and then once you get that, you can work from it. Robin straight away with a frag on Windansky, so that's going to help CAZ's chances of getting themselves back into this one, bringing it 5-5 with an early pick. And I think for FM is going to slow up for a few seconds, decide where they want to be going. I think bomb has actually been dropped as a result of that. And yeah, bomb has been dropped, so they'll have to go and retrieve that. I don't think it's too difficult to find. It's actually over towards the T-spawn, so it's going to be a case of going out and grabbing it. It's sometimes a little bit frustrating if you're trying to work a strat, but if you're just playing for a bit of time, just waiting for your push to come in, then not so much of a problem, and they have retrieved that and are now ready to go and start making their play on 2A.
I'm finding it scary, actually, how much of the map these guys are just leaving open. They seem completely confident in the fact that CAZ aren't going to be pushing anywhere. And I'm assuming that's something that they've spotted out from either demos or just playing them in the past a lot, because guess what? CAZ aren't taking advantage of the space. They feel potentially like FM are going to be up close, ready to deal with them should they get aggressive. And I don't know, it's just interesting to see, because all it's going to take is one time for them to realize that they do have the space to work with. At the moment, though, going to be a push towards the A site, and CAZ keeping themselves in the lead to start off with, but Cinder finding a quick 2 to get FM back into things. Neil Zinho coming in with one of his own, and just like that, it's a 2 versus 2, and CAZ are back on the retake. An AWP on Jacob and M4 on Cryptics, but no real utility to speak of past one smoke grenade. It's not going to be easy, and as Jacob goes down, it's going to be even more difficult, even with Cryptics in the position. Neil Zinho could find that trade. It was always going to be round to FM, and it does mean that we're going to be seeing them take a slightly more commanding lead of 2 rounds, but again, potentially going to be able to widen that now to 3, just based off the fact that CAZ, once again, don't have that money. They can afford themselves some pistols, but they're not going to be getting much more than that. No nades even coming out. And so you can almost assume this one should go to FM.
Yeah, you'd certainly think so. They did get unstuck in the first, after the first round, where they came up pistols against the SMGs that they'd obtained. And Robin straight away with a crisp Deagle shot taking down Neil Zenio. So that's an interesting start to things. And, you know, again, it's a benefit for CAZ to have that numbers advantage. Didn't quite pay off for them last time, and in general, they didn't have the firepower either, or they won't have. Got to be on point with the Deagles. You know, no chance for Robin to retrieve that weapon that he's able to fell just yet. But FM, you know, again, don't want to commit too much to this. They just want to bide their time. Hope that someone on one of these upgraded pistols is going to try and push somewhere, try and catch them from behind. And just got to be careful that they don't have a repeat of when Robin pushed in behind him and caused havoc. And they are just playing it past the loop for the time being, spamming a couple of spots and that kind of thing. But we are probably going to see some movement now on Boaster. He might have a play on Huds G and does manage to do a decent amount of... Oh, no, actually, he hasn't done any damage to him. I thought some of those shots are connected, but no such luck, and they're now moving into the B. Jacobs in a great little boost spot, but he's probably only going to get one frag before he's called off, and FM going for the B in some force.
I actually deal with him straight away. Socken finding that one, but there's going to be more damage coming in from the CAZ side. Boaster, Shaq, and Cryptics finding themselves one apiece with these pistols until it's just Cinder left on 8 points of health. And it looks like we might be seeing another CAZ pistol round victory, because right now, even if he manages to get that bomb down, all they need to do is move in as a unit, and it's an almost guaranteed round at this point. There's no way that he's going to be able to take on 3 of them should they all peek at once. And, well, unfortunately for Cinder, he's not even going to be finding 1. Drops, and FM only find 2 in the round. That is a huge surprise and quite painful, as it's going to put CAZ right back up there, right back in contention. And right back in that position where we could quite easily see them overtake. So they're going to be keeping things close, really, in situations where they shouldn't be at all.
No, that's exactly right. And Cryptics, he grabbed himself an AK, and he's got 3.4k sitting in his pocket, ready to take through into the next round. So they've got to be careful, make sure they don't get reset, because that just piles on the extra pressure. You end up getting fragged after you've lost a few rounds on the spin, and you lose the extra loss bonus that you've been raking into your account. So something they've got to be careful of, but you'd expect that if they can just keep it solid and not get picked off too early, then they've only got to deal with FM's push when they decide to go in probably about 40 seconds time, that kind of thing. And you know, even with a massive utility, you can still get your players rotating in, trying to back up, and you know, they might not have to worry about the flashes so much, or they might be avoiding the angle of a Molotov or a smoke, and that Molotov has actually slowed up Socken from being able to throw his utility into the site, at least for the time being, but still plenty of time left on the clock for them to start making their move. Windansky's sitting in a similar kind of position. He's changed his angles, but he is looking for someone to go pushing out along doors, which is quite tempting when nothing is happening over towards the A site, for example. But the push is coming now. Cryptics has to get on his bike, but FM are going for this A site now.
I mean, the thing is, CAZ know all they have to do is sit there, and they're going to be finding themselves the frags, and they continue to do just that. 4 players felled on the FM side, and everybody on CAZ still sat happily alive. Nothing to worry about at this point. You were talking about Windansky's position, the fact he was just waiting for somebody to get in his way. Sort of waiting for somebody to come around the corner so that he could find the frags, but it just didn't happen in the end, and it means he has to go on the offensive. He manages to find himself 2, he manages to find himself the AWP, but the bomb's all the way on the A site, so it doesn't look like it's going to be a round that he can even potentially win. Just holding on to the weapon for the moment. Holding on to everything he has in his hands, and I think hoping he can maybe find an exit before he leaves. He goes for the shot, but it's not going to be connecting. And so he is just taking through what he had with him.
Yeah, he sure is. And you know, it's a little bit of a tough one, I guess, because if there's an AWP on the ground, yeah, you've got to save the AWP, and there's nothing else that you could really do with it, to be honest, in that situation, other than go for it, which would just be suicide, to be completely honest. But you know, with 1 AWP and a bunch of pistols, well, no one in CAZ is really committing themselves in a position where they can get picked off with the AWP. And last time I remember Huds G getting an AWP pick, he had to push all the way through the mid doors and go and pick up a frag, and there he goes, and there goes the AWP. So Jacob does get aggressive. They try and work something over towards the B side, but that's a tough pick, especially where Jacob is now behind the boxes. You've only got a head to aim for, and you know, a fairly decent amount of area to cover behind that box. It's a wide old area, as opposed to able to get Neil Zenio, and Jacob, he does get dinked, but no, actually, that was just above his head, that shot, so he doesn't even take that one to the face. And FM have to drop out, heading towards the A site, but you can see Chak, he's not pushed through, which again is a temptation to push through, drop out into mid, try and go into lower and stop any kind of B attack. And, you know, he's instead stood his ground. knowing that there could be some fake, knowing how much time's left on the clock, and knowing that FM seem to want to leave it fairly last minute before they make their push.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of have to commit now. It's sort of we're expecting to see it happen, but Socken goes down immediately. Shaq's going to be on long, making sure that Cinder can't do anything, and it's going to be Windansky finding himself the first frag, but not really looking like he can push it too much further than that. He has the orb, he has the bomb, but he doesn't have a great position. And should he head over to B? Well, Jacob's sat there with the orb. At least potentially going to be finding himself one of these frags unless Boaster manages to pick it up first. Goes huge on Cinder and finds himself Windansky as well. So another wonderful showing from CAZ, another round on the board for them. And another moment where potentially what we were talking about earlier with FM's inability to really change the pace and sort of one-track mind when it comes to how they approach a map just holds them back a little bit. They're still going for that passive style. I want to see sort of more of what we had for those sort of couple of rounds earlier, where they just decided to go aggressive right from the start, do something a little bit crazy, change the tempo entirely, and try and catch CAZ off guard, because if they don't, then I reckon we're going to be seeing more rounds just being put on the board by CAZ's CT side.
Yeah, most likely. We'll see CAZ take a 9-6 on CT, which you wouldn't normally expect from a Dust 2 for the most part, and then FM, yeah, okay, they're going to play their CT side. They're going to be a well-drilled unit, but you know, CAZ, if anything, are probably more versed in being a little more aggressive, changing up the pace, and you know, they might be able to generate a few more picks that FM just can't with the pace they're playing. And here we see mid to B. They got Cryptix there to back up, and he's maybe just a second too slow. And oh, Nilzinho does pick up the frags somehow. I don't know how, but it's still a 3 versus 3, and FM decide to fall away and decide what they want to do. Now this is now an interesting little situation. You've got basically one mid, one A, and one site if you want to go for it. Nilzinho, he gets a frag taking down Robin. So Cinder now over towards the site. Chak fires straight back, taking down Windansky. So now we're back to a 2 versus 2. 40 seconds left to go on the clock. Bomb planted over towards the A site. And let's see what CAZ have got in their retake. Are we going to see a 7-all?
Well, I mean, realistically, CAZ's retakes haven't looked so good so far. I think the only time we've actually seen them successfully complete one was in that second round. So you can't hold too much hope for this, but they're still going to be trying for it. Unfortunately, Chak's going to be going down instantly, and it's all on Jacob. He finds the first. But there is one more to go. Nilzinho on the side, and he manages to land the shot through the box. Takes himself the frag, has the kit, and that does mean that it's going to be another board on, another board in the round, another round on the board for CAZ to push the score to 8-6 and actually give them the win in the half overall, no matter what happens from this point on. And now it's FM's turn to try and take this as close as possible. They want this last round. They want an 8-7 scoreline, because a 9-6, while still completely average and while still not particularly worrying, just isn't what you're looking for on Dust 2, especially on the T side.
No, it's not. Pars extra pressure on you to try and win out your pistol for sure. And you know, even if you do win out your pistol, as we saw, FM end up losing it straight back in the second time of asking. So, you know, all little dynamics that you got to worry about, and you know, it just gives you that extra thing you got to worry about. Sort of tightens you up, especially when you're on the stage under lights. I mean, that's a little bit of extra pressure straight off the bat. First map, you want to be making a good impression. All little things just sort of tighten up your arm when you need to make that crucial frag. And I guess the advantage when you've got SMGs is you can kind of spray in the area and hope for the best, but you know, you don't really want to be hoping for the best at any stage, to be honest. And we're now seeing, again, fairly similar thing from FM. What else? Fairly passive, going for a bid to B. This time they're not getting pushed from anywhere, but Windansky straight away. Boaster gets the frag, and Boaster is making his move, and he's got his second frag, taking down Socken as well, and they've dropped very quickly off a CT spawn, knowing this is going to be happening, and they're now pushing in. Cinder does get one on Cryptix, and he's got the frag. He's already got the number of the player at the back of sight, and does take down Jacob as well, so maybe this is going to be FM's round after all if they can get themselves into the tunnels. So it's going to be CAZ. Can they retake here?
And it's going to be another 3v3. It's going to be another even retake. And obviously, as I was saying in the last round, CAZ haven't had too much luck, but last round they managed it. So maybe, just maybe, there's a chance. At any rate, we're going to be seeing 2 men entering from tunnels, but HUDG is going to be cutting Chak down to start things off. Boaster comes in, though, with his 3rd frag in the round to answer back. And going to be finding his 4th as well. Can he go for the ace here? Now it's just Cinder left, and he's going to have to. Robin drops, but Boaster can't quite make it work. A 4K responded upon by a 4K as Cinder closes that one out and manages to find FM their 7th in the half. So an 8-7 scoreline mark, definitely not too bad, but at the same time, far from, I don't know, far from exciting, far from ideal. It still means that we've got another half to go where, realistically, anything could happen, and the pistol round is going to be so important here. If CAZ managed to pick it up, they're in double digits already, and at that point, it's just a matter of closing it out.
Yeah, I think so. We've got another short pause, just really quickly. I've got a... Sorry, guys. There we go. We'll see if that actually worked in a minute.
We gotta hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed. See what we should be underway, and we are. So the unpause is underway, and we are back in for the second half, or we should be very soon. So CAZ, slender lead, very slender, not a whole lot to be working with, but it's something, especially on that T side. If they can end up getting this next one on the board, you would expect they'll be able to piggyback through, get the next couple as well, taking it to 11-7. And from that point, first buy versus buy, well, if you end up staring down the barrel of a 12-7 without the cash to be rebuying, then you could see this drift away very quickly for FM, especially with the economy now going to be even tighter on them on this CT side. And it's a good chance to see for CAZ how slow they're going to play it in comparison to FM. Will we see a similar kind of game from them?
I mean, it looks like it at the moment, as FM have got the aggression all the way up the map. You can see Windansky and Cinder heading their way through mid, all the way to long doors, and Cinder going to be starting things off with a frag onto Jacob. So CAZ already been caught out in a similar position to that of FM on their half, but Chak manages to recover it. Of course he does, finds himself two, and Robin manages to make it a third, giving CAZ the advantage as they push into the B site. Nilzinho, though, still going to be doing everything he can from that point. Still going to be finding himself those lovely, lovely shots. It's just whether they can stop them getting the bomb down, because CAZ is still completely uncommitted, Mark. They're still in mid. They still haven't decided, and they can still go anywhere on this map. So it's very, very possible that we're going to be seeing them go up against one player in whichever site they go in.
Yeah.
And at that point, the site and the bomb plant could be theirs, even if the round doesn't end up going their way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's got to be. If you've got 2 players left, then you either move as a unit on your CT side, or you take a site each and just try and use utility to get rid of them. Well, there's no utility, so you can rule that option out. But you can kind of play areas in a way where you can hide enough and just bob in and out and delay and play rope-a-dope around boxes, etc. And they've played this perfectly, because FM, they were moving as a unit. They looked over towards the A, and now they're starting to drift off towards the B. Not a single footstep. Bomb gets thrown across. That probably would have been heard, and the plant will definitely be heard, but they've got this thing now planted, ready to go. Hudgy has to come over. Nilzinho is there. So the 2 seasoned campaigners for FM eSports, probably about 20 years experience combined between them. Can they bring this thing home? Well, they're trying for it. Nilzinho, what a shot that is on the spin, taking down Chak, and he gets his second as well. Defuse comes in, no kit, but they do end up picking this thing up, and it is now to 8-all after the first round of the second half.
I mean, that's exactly what FM wanted, and I think the only real question at the moment is, can CAZ pull off the second round victory 2 times in a row? Obviously, in the first half, it was one of the things that really helped propel them, and it's probably what sort of pushed them towards winning the half overall, finding themselves that 8th round. If FM can make this one, well, 3 rounds, if they can take the conversions that you'd expect them to be able to find, then potentially we're going to be seeing them with a much better lead into this second half, and with a good chance of putting some distance between themselves and pushing forwards. But obviously that all depends on what CAZ do this round, and it all depends on how we're going to be seeing them. The bomb plant in the last round does mean that we're going to be seeing CAZ going with just the pistols, and it looks like they might be able to get another one down as well. Robin just ducks down, plants it straight away, and Jacob still manages to find himself a frag to start things off. So even when they don't invest nearly anything into the round, CAZ still look ridiculously strong.
And it doesn't look like they're going to be breaking away from that one either. They are mowing down these FM players as they try and make their way in. So it is going to be the same kind of deal, trading back. They're going for it. And they got themselves onto the site. There is a chance. Cryptic's over towards the double stack. He's just being a pest, if nothing else. And Socken gets one before he's traded away. But Hudgy, why did you come off the defuse, bro? You could have had that. But instead, he tries to pull away. And nearly does take Robin in the end as well. But I don't think he left himself enough time to get the defuse again if he did pick up those 2 frags.
I'm just in awe at the moment, Mark. That should never happen, and that should never happen 2 times in a row. CAZ, obviously, already with the 1 bomb plant under their belt, are going to have all the money in the world to work with right now, and you can see it coming out. Robin chooses to stick with the MP7 he picked up in the last, but the rest of them, well, they've got AKs, they've got full utility, they've got everything they could possibly want, and FM now are going to have to do the impossible themselves if they want to get back into this one, but already, Socken is taken down. Shaq with a wonderful headshot to start things off in this round. And CAZ looking as strong as ever, trying to start the second half off as they did the first, and at the moment, succeeding. Windansky finally able to get one back, but it's what they're going to be able to do from here, and it looks like that might just be not much as Boaster chimes in as well, and it's Windansky and Neilzinho left just like that, 2 versus 4, with no real map control, no real presence, and, well, the majority of the team of CAZ eSports just ready to deal with them wherever they may come from.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. 4v2, there we are going, you would expect for the kind of split the site thing, but it turns out they're not. Actually, got one over towards B, one over towards A, so kind of in the area, but not on the site. And see, who's this? Well, Windansky's pretty much going to walk straight into a bear trap over towards the other side by the looks of things. He's looking to the crossover, misses by a mile with his 3 shots. It's kind of, yeah, the player's already gone, and then he's shooting. He's just way too slow on that. Must be getting old, old Windansky. Been around a little too long, not quite as crisp as he used to be. But doing all right on the old frag charts, and now they are just going to be looking for exits now, picking up what they can, maybe a cheap AK. The CAZ are going to be tempted to go for a little bit of a push and try and hunt, but it doesn't look like it. They're just keeping this thing locked down.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect them to give anything up. It's just an unfortunate reality. They found themselves the site. The only man that died was holding an MP7. Why do they have a reason to push? Let FM take the armor, let them take the pistols through, because they're just not going to be able to do anything huge with it in the next round. Yeah, it might save them $650, $1,000 here, but CAZ can make that allowance right now. They just want to focus on their game, focus on being as well equipped as they can, focus on building their own economy early on into this half, so they can push through and take the first map.
Yeah, and if they do that, one more map will bring this thing home for them. I'm thinking about this. This is FM's map pick as well, Dust. So not quite sure how that's panned out as Robin takes down Cinder straight away, and he's got his second with the Mac 10, so he's got the 200% kill bonus as well. He is going to be filling the coffers with money after picking up those 2 frags, and you'd expect the way this is going, bomb plant's going to come in and the round. They've got 3 players looking towards the crossover, but will they be able to do anything? I mean, CAZ, they don't even throw a smoke that's going to smash them all down. Flawless victory. Boaster down to 2 HP. You only would have had to blow on him, but they keep all 5 players left alive, and we're now up against the first real buy versus buy. FM going for this thing, full commit, and they've barely got enough money to get themselves a Nando's at the end of this thing.
Oh dear, that's why they gotta hope they win, man. Potentially gonna be finding themselves something for free if they can manage it, but already things have gone sour. Robin to start the round off again. This time with the AWP manages to find himself one onto Windansky before some weapons are switched around, and Jacob ends up with it, so I assume they were just playing that for the spawns. And you can see why it worked for them. Already a 5 versus 4, and now they can slow things right down. Now they don't have to worry. They don't have to assert themselves early on, because what are FM going to do? They push, they lose another man, they're in an awful situation. They now just have to split on the sites and hope that they can get something started when the push comes in. They can't really do a huge amount more, and you can already see CAZ are so confident. They take mid without really giving it too much thought, and it doesn't matter where they go. It's going to be a perfect setup, especially if we see Cinder getting aggressive here. Cryptic should be waiting in the perfect position, but actually Cinder going to manage to find himself the frag, and with it the bomb, so that's something already. Socken chiming in as well, and Hudge G there with the AWP to find himself a third, or to find his team a third, and leave it in a 2 versus 2. FM suddenly looking like they have a chance in this round, and suddenly looking like they might be able to put the brakes on CAZ a little bit.
Nope.
Yeah, until that happens.
I'm seeing both, so I'm thinking he could have walked out the door and done some damage, but instead just sat and waited, and that was super clever. I like that a lot. Gives them a chance to go and run around. Now this is the problem, they haven't got a lot of time to work with, so they've got to retrieve this bomb and just get it into sight. It's going to have to be A, it's going to have to be short, and I don't think they've even really got time to do that. got to go for the frag here.
Yeah, they need to find that frag. 12 seconds and the bomb all the way down long. And, well, Cinder's just played a blinder. He doesn't have to care right now. He can just sit there. He knows that he's safe.
Wow. I guess Cinder's thinking, they haven't planted yet. They haven't planted yet. I'm not going to commit until they plant.
It's that horrible tense second where you see the clock tick from like 4 to 3.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, am I going to hear that sound? Is it going to be a retake? But fortunately for FM, it's not, and that means that they're back in it with another buy round. It's not going to be perfect. They are going to have FAMASs. They are going to be a little bit low on utility on a couple of the players. But it's stronger than what they would have had otherwise.
Yeah.
It's better than what they would have had otherwise, and CAZ are in another position where they need to start doing some more damage because they've got a little bit of economy now, but if they keep losing rounds, and even with that 1 round lost, they're going to have trouble buying should they lose a couple. And Socken starts it off perfectly for the FM Resurgence, finds himself 1, and leaves it 5 versus 4 from very early on indeed.
Yeah, what a way to go. And Socken down to 19 points of health, so he's going to have to be careful. He's going to have to fear nades. Also fear that fire if they go for it, and there's a bit of spray down through the mid doors, but Windansky escapes with his life for the time being, and he hasn't got the cash to bite the AWP, so now he does have that ability to play in a little closer than he perhaps would have done, and is able to get himself to safety. So we're going to see CAZ drop into maybe a similar kind of setup. No, actually, I'm going to say similar kind of setup to FM, but they are now committing pretty full on towards this A. Plenty of Molotovs in there just to flush whoever's there off the site. And there's Hudge. He's first to go down from the ramp. And Windansky, he's given away his position from below. And Jacob is able to pick him up. So they've got control of this short platform. And now they can just wait for these 3 players of FM to try and come in and do what damage they can. The information is probably in. They know that Slocken's been hammered down to quite a lot. And Cinder, I don't know how he's pulled that one off. And Neil Zinho as well. So it's now 3 versus 1 in favour of FM. Nice work from Jacob, that great shot.
And he's going to be finding himself the second as well onto Socken, so it's a 1 versus 1 again. And it's going to be Cinder seeing what he can do to find a defuse on this one. Obviously, the timer is on him, and Jacob knows that he doesn't have to make a move until he hears that bomb get tapped. Cinder goes for it, and he's going to be holding it, but Jacob's there with the peek and will be finding himself that frag, so CAZ can continue their dominance, can reset FM, and can start to push themselves towards match point and eventually victory. 12 rounds on the board for them, and FM all the way back down to stock pistols. We're going to be seeing some USPSs coming out in this one, Mark, and it's not going to be pretty if you're an FM fan.
No, it is not, and I'm glad the camera wasn't on me at the point when I was watching that unfold, because it was so close. I mean, there was a hair in it between a defuse and a round on the board for CAZ, and it did end up going in the direction of CAZ. We've got a short pause again as Robin has crashed, so we'll get that one straightened out as quick as we can and make that happen, and we are underway then. So 12-9, probably going to be 13-9. Judging by the amount of weaponry, etc. available, and Jacob goes for the shot into mid. Doesn't pick it up in the end, but it looked close at least. And, Socken, he's getting up closer. Maybe they're going to try and do something a little bit aggressive. And, FM did show that they can change up the pace on their CT side and did get a little pushy during the very early stages of this second half. And maybe that is going to be the difference maker as Neil Zinho. He's down to 34, so I'm not sure where he got tagged from, but he's had to fall away. Chak down to 76 points of health. So he got slightly dented in that as well, but nothing too much to worry about just yet. Boaster looking towards the mid, so he's maybe going to work on T side the angle that he's been holding on the CT side, and maybe he's got a few little tricks that unstick him that might be useful going forward. But at the moment against the pistols, you've just got to make sure that these silence USPs aren't ripping your face off, that Windansky's not pulling off a crisp 1-dig from halfway across the map, which could happen. But it's a little tougher than it used to be back in the days of Source. The fond memories of what the Deagle used to be. Kind of like a handheld AWP to a point. Hudge, so he gets pushed into CT spawn from the utility, and they've got, for the time being, at least pretty much full control of the A site. They don't know that yet, and you can see that by the pace that they're moving, and Cryptix has actually looked away from the chance of making some plays over towards the CT spawn. Robin gets one though, Chak gets one, and Robin gets another, so it looks like it is going to be pretty much a flawless victory. Windansky doesn't have any crisp 1-diggers in his locker at this stage for us. He gets felled. Flawless victory. Eco bash from CAZ. 13-9 it is, and that money's actually a little worse than I thought it was going to be for FM.
Yeah, no, it looked like the double eco might have had to come out from the beginning. I thought maybe they'd have maybe, I don't know, something to put a buy in. But right now it looks like it should be a double eco. Maybe we'll see a couple more pistols come out this time. But from what we saw in the last round, it doesn't give me a huge amount of hope for them because honestly, that was, well, easy mode for CAZ. They really had no worries whatsoever going into that round and managed to make it work for themselves with, as you said, a flawless victory. They didn't lose a single player. They didn't even lose, I think, more than half health on anybody. So even with some slightly more upgraded pistols, even with maybe a couple more P250s on the board, a 5.7, that sort of thing, I still don't feel FM really have it in the bag, and it's probably advisable for them to just take everything they have in this round, put it through into the next one. Get the full buy, take it from there, play a bit more passive, make sure that they just have firm holds on all of the sites and deny those early entries. Use your utility for what it's there for, because CAZ certainly are. In the past couple of rounds, they have been relentless with the Molotovs. And so FM just need to be completely aware of everything they've been doing and, you know, take something for themselves into this one. At the moment, though, it's going to be Windansky seeing what he can take from the round. Finds himself one, but it's not going to be lasting long. Frags being traded back straight away by the CAZ side. We do see Boaster dropped as well by Socken. But unfortunately, even with that AK recovered, it's going to be difficult for him to do a huge amount as he is well out of position. There's no way he can really get to that A site in time, and so it's going to be Neil Zeno as the last man who really has any presence for FM eSports. But the Molotov goes down on short. He has only a P250 to play with, and he keeps his distance, which realistically is probably the smart thing to do.
And walks straight into Robin. Brilliant AK control, just finds the face very quickly over towards the short. And Socken going to try and save this AK and bring it forward. Got a Molotov in his hand as well, so that could be useful. And also he's got himself, I was going to say he's got himself some armor. He hasn't got that, but he's got the cash to be able to rebuy it. CFJ wants to try and get aggressive on him, and they are not going to do that. So double eco comes in, and you know, it has the desired effect pretty much for FM. But for CAZ, well, 49. Going to be one buy versus buy to end it all, possibly. If FM don't pick this one up, they are not going to be buying again, I would not expect. Actually,
I mean, Socken's AK is going to help a little bit, but
yeah,
it's still far from perfect. I think you'd have to agree. It's not where they want to be, and as you said, if CAZ manage to win this one, they're still going to be in such a great position, so they're going to be trying to go for that right off the bat, and they're going to be changing things up just a little bit. Once again, you see that early aggression towards the A site, and Boaster manages, sorry, towards the B site, and Boaster manages to make it work for himself. Neil Zeno does manage to come back in with one of his own, but it's not going to matter a huge amount, as we already see CAZ using it to put presence elsewhere on the map, but Huds G comes in with 3, I think one of them being a collateral, to put FM right back on the board. And just like that, it's Boaster left, the man we saw starting the round off with that AWP in his hands. Now in a position where he really can't do anything. The bomb's not going to be his by a long stretch. FM are swarming everywhere they think he could possibly be, and any push he tries to go for should end with one result and one result only, which is going to be his death.
Yeah, I mean, that escalated quickly. Hudgy kind of huge with a collateral and picks up a third one straight off the bat as well. And Hudgy with the AWP, he could be a very dangerous prospect when we get on to, for example, Cobblestone, where in the UK Masters we've seen him pretty much lock down the A site, flying solo from there, even with players rushing at him. He's kind of able to deal with 3, 4, 5 players at times. So that is potentially going to be an interesting prospect. And you know, the double AWP setup from CAZ, which looked like it could have been so effective, has now been switched back to FM, who are going for their double AWP. And this is going to be interesting. And I'm not sure I like that so much on CT side Dust 2, but you know, there's a reason these guys are on the stage and we're just talking about it, I'm sure, and I'll probably get proved wrong if Hudgy and Neil Zeno end up picking all 5 frags up between them with the double AWP, but we shall see. Boaster in the lower, he got the opening pick last time around, but it wasn't fruitful in the end for CAZ, as he's now working towards the lower. To where Neil Zeno got in and took out, I believe it was... not sure who he took out. Actually, Robin, I think, was on top of the stairs, and he got taken down, and you know, Boaster wasn't able to pick up the frag. Neil Zeno quite wisely dropping away and not committing too much into the tunnels. And you know, from then on, Hudson did the rest over towards the A site, and the rest, as they say, is history. Nilzinho spamming through smoke. Looks like mid to B might be the play. Boaster up on the short as well. And CAZ taking a leap out of FM's book as they now go for it. Robin takes down Hudson. That smoke is going to try and slow off the rotate. But there's still 2 players in the window, and Nilzinho he faces, which is a little bit risky in itself. And there goes Socken over towards the tunnels. Retake is on 4v2.
Yeah. Windanski going to be finding himself taking it into a 3 versus 2 situation, but now they have to make their way onto the site. They do have a little bit of utility to use, so hopefully that's going to be enough, but at the moment it looks like it's going to be just so difficult. Cinder toying with the idea of going through the window, but Cryptix has it well watched. The flashes coming in, it might just be their chance, but Cryptix still finds one, and Robin's still going to be a threat. Instead, though, it's going to be Boaster finding that last frag and pushing CAZ through to match point, and this, well, looks like it's going to be that map. As you said, FM don't have a whole lot more to work with. They managed to get the AWP out. They managed to get a bit of a buy-in, but it's, again, going to be far from perfect. It's not going to be exactly what they want, and you can see they've spent everything they have. Windanski still only has the Deagle to use, so CAZ really in a position where they could just close this one out right now, take that first map, and push it through to Cobblestone to try and close this one out.
Boast not resting around. He just gone sprinting straight up short. Ends up taking out 1. I'll make that 2. I thought Cinder had him there, but no. It's Boaster who's taken 2 players out. Make that 3. He's going on a tear. He wants to bring this thing home, and in this weighted best of 5, they bring this thing home. CAZ already have a 2-map advantage. Nilzinho gets a nade to the face, but he picks up 2 frags in the meantime, leaving it to Huds G. What can he do? Flying solo against 3 players with the bomb planted. Well, time is already against him, and the AWP probably isn't going to help him try and get up close too quickly. They're just going to throw everything they can at him, try and slow him down. And they've got 3 angles to go from, and we can pretty much call this thing done, I think.
I mean, a nice shot there from him to close it out, but unfortunately it's not going to mean the round win, as he is dealt with fairly quickly. And, well, CAZ managed to pick it up.